What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about Smile 2, and I've actually been very much looking forward to watching this movie because when the original Smile movie came out, I saw the trailer for it and was like, this is going to be very lame. Just from the trailer, I did not expect it to be very good. And surprisingly, that movie made my top 20 films of the year that year. I thought that it was not only a really great horror movie, but a fascinating commentary on mental illness and the way family members treat people with mental illness. And it was so interesting the way that the social commentary was weaved throughout the horror plot. And it was truly scary. I did have some cheap jump scares in it, but I think Parker Finn as a director knows how to balance those jump scares with genuine, authentic horror. He really does a great job working with his cinematographer to hold on shots and make you as an audience member uncomfortable. And so when a sequel was announced, I kind of scratched my head like, okay, are we just going to do more of the same? What can we do to kind of keep this alive and fresh and exciting? And seeing that the lead of this movie was going to be a pop star who is hugely popular in the United States, I thought that was a really cool way to kind of shift it around a little bit. So I went into this with an open mind, and I'm really excited to talk about it with you today. Smile 2 is directed by Parker Finn. About to embark on a new world tour, global pop sensation Sky Riley begins experiencing increasingly terrifying and inexplicable events. Overwhelmed by the escalating horrors and the pressures of fame, Sky is forced to face her dark past to regain control of her life before it spirals out of control. So I was very excited to watch this movie because of how much I enjoyed the first film, and I thought this movie was awesome. I'm not sure if I like it as much as I like the first movie, but I think that Parker Finn is able to carry over a lot of what makes the first movie so special, but also do enough here that makes the movie feel different. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's just regurgitating the same beats. There's a lot of really creative scenes in this, and a lot of truly unnerving imagery that just gets under your skin, which is what I liked so much about the first movie. And I'm excited to tell you about it today. So, at the beginning of the film, we are introduced to Sky Riley, played by Naomi Scott. And we find out early on in the movie, she has kind of been out of the spotlight for a year because her and her boyfriend got in a horrible car accident, and the boyfriend was killed instantly. And Sky suffered some really horrific injuries to her back, while simultaneously, at that period in her life, she was horribly addicted to drugs. And so she had to go to rehabilitation. She was doing all of these things to get clean and make her life better. And she has announced on a talk show that she is going to go on a world tour. And this is essentially her kind of rediscovering her identity and trying to find herself again. And through early parts of the film, we see just how much she's struggling not to use substances again, not to drink alcohol, and the weird relationship that she has with her mother. Her mother is her tour manager. You can tell there's a bit of a separation there. Her and her best friend had a falling out. She treated her really poorly after some things happened with some drugs. And so she feels very isolated in her own world. And one night she goes out to acquire some drugs and she sees someone kill themselves brutally. And as we know from the first Smile movie, when you witness one of those brutal murders from a person who is possessed by that entity, it then takes over your life and it starts to haunt you and you see things that aren't there. And so Sky is about to go on this world tour. She's rehearsing at Madison Square Garden. She's trying to live her day-to-day life, but of course she is being haunted by this entity. And the entirety of the film is her trying to figure out what this is and how she can stop it. So like I said, I really liked this movie a lot. And the very first thing I want to talk about is Naomi Scott. What a brilliant and fearless performance. She is absolutely incredible in this movie. This film obviously tackles a very heavy subject matter, addiction, and I feel like her performance is what makes everything thematically resonate with you as a viewer. You can see her spiraling and just the way that her character has to roller coaster throughout the entire runtime of the film. It's incredibly impressive. Naomi Scott is a very expressive actress. Her facial expressions in this movie, the way that she reacts to seeing certain things, you can just really feel the pain and the anguish that she is experiencing. And it takes a very talented actor to do that. Not to mention, there's some really great music in this, and she just seems to be a fantastic performer, whether that be the vocal performances or the dancing in this movie, whatever she's involved in, she just really commands the screen. And that was really awesome to see. I think these movies, you need a charismatic and interesting lead. And that's what we had in the first Smile movie. And so it was great to have an equally, if not more, compelling lead performance in the second movie. And I think the entire cast does a really phenomenal job. I love the way these movies are shot. I feel like Parker Finn and his cinematographer work very close together to make very creative shots. Instead of doing a lot of shot reverse shot, I noticed Parker Finn likes to pan a lot. He likes to move the camera around 360 or 180 to make you as a viewer stick with an image. And what I like about it is it gives a really accurate sense of space, which is really cool in a movie to understand your environment so that it makes you pay attention to little details in the frame, whether that be a dark shadow in the corner or something looming behind a character. And there's some really interesting framing techniques in this movie to kind of unnerve you as a viewer. And I think that's really great. And I think the best part about this movie is the patience of the cinematographer. There's one scene in particular in this movie where Sky is in her apartment alone, and this crazy set of circumstances plays out in her apartment. And it's one of the most creative scenes I've seen in a horror movie this year. And it truly just gave me chills. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, the approach to it. And I thought it was fantastically choreographed. And just the way that the tension kind of builds throughout that sequence is fantastic. And it's one of my favorite parts of the movie. I think what I like so much about Parker Finn in these movies is there are jump scares in the film. And some of them are cheaper than others. Some of them I think are really well incorporated. But I've talked about this before. Jump scares don't really frighten me. It's a loud noise. It's going to get a visceral reaction out of anyone. And I know a lot of people who enjoy popular horror films or more mainstream horror films, a lot of audience members want those. They want to be engaged through something that will make them shake or make their body move. I like horror movies that get under your skin because of what you're seeing on screen. And I think Parker Finn is one of the few directors I've seen in modern horror that understands how to intertwine both. He knows how to create really unsettling horror through imagery and through patient cinematography, but he also knows how to add in a really great jump scare or how to add in just really brutal gore, which leads me into the practical effects in this movie are awesome. You can tell that there's a lot of practical effects. I'm sure there's some computer generated stuff in this movie. The practical stuff looks amazing. It's very gnarly. There are a lot of kills in this movie that just they made me feel a little squeamish, and I watched Terrifier 3 recently, so I was really impressed with the attention to detail in those kill sequences as well. And what I like the most about these Smile movies, and in the first one I really appreciated how it depicted mental illness and how when someone is going through that or living through trauma or past experiences, sometimes you will go through episodes and you will deal with things and the family around you won't necessarily understand it. And sometimes they'll just kind of shun you for it. And watching this movie, you can see mental health elements incorporated, but it's all associated with addiction. And I think what Parker Finn does a great job of is showing complete loss of control. And that's what addiction is. You get to a point where you can't live your day-to-day life without that substance, whatever it might be, and it takes control of every facet of your life. And I think utilizing this creature or this entity to symbolize addiction was just a really brilliant move. And it's a very harrowing film. There's some funnier moments in this that are like darkly comedic that I can appreciate, but there's also just straightforward drama. And there were some like genuinely emotionally moving moments in this film as well, which I think is what I like so much about the first Smile movie is Parker Finn knows how to make a scary movie. He has moments of levity, but he also can make you feel immense emotion for the lead character. And I think because of Naomi Scott's brilliant performance in this film, that it makes all these these themes pack a really heavy punch. And I really had a blast watching this movie. I think the musical incorporation, the creative cinematography, the way information is revealed, because obviously we know what's going on if you've seen the first Smile movie, but you get little bits of information reiterated to you. So if you've never seen the first movie, it doesn't really matter. But I like how they built on the first film, but still were able to do something new and creative at the same time. And honestly, Parker Finn can make 2 or 3 more of these, and I would have a blast watching him. I feel like he's someone who wouldn't just do more of the same. He's going to try to find a way to make it new and exciting and inventive. And the end of this movie, if he makes a third film and it goes the direction I think it'll go into, I think it'll be really cool. And I hope that if you're a fan of horror in general, that you'll go check this out in the theater because it's really awesome. So have you seen Smile 2? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was awesome. I did not think I would enjoy it as much as the first movie, and I thought that it was equally as great. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.